day. So I go.
Where's your hay bale?
1,000 miles. The storms are
Where's your corn cob pies?
the ocean.
Are you wearing gingham panties? Huh?
Fuck
you fucking fool. Come on, show us your panties. Show us your panties, Betty. Fine. Oh God, I hate fucking folk music. Okay, I fucking hate folk music.
If you're wondering what kind of panties we're wearing, they're white, orange, and a tad spoiled. This is Spoilers.
If I had wings like Noah's dove, I'd fly the river to the one I love. Oh, fare thee well, my honey, fare thee well.
Hello, everybody. This is Stevie. Here recording a very special episode. This is a Patreon request. Pap, are we allowed to say last names?
We'll just call him Matt. I think that's fine.
Patreon request from Matt, and he wanted to cover the 2013, in his words, Coen Brothers classic, Inside Llewyn Davis. He said, I decided to watch this movie a couple of months ago and fell in love with it. I watched it like 5 times since, making various friends watch it with me. Now I get to make you guys watch it. And he has an awesome opening question. So let's go from Esis to Weesis, and his opening question is, what's your best or worst road trip experience?
Ooh. Were you starting?
Brett, it's you.
Ah, it's always me. Well, I can't really talk about my best one.
That sounds like the exact one you should
That sounds like the one
No.
you should be talking about.
Give us hints.
This is a Patreon request, Brett.
No, just remind me and I'll tell you off the air. So I guess my wife and I on our honeymoon, we got off of a cruise. We had to get up at like 6 to deboard. This is Brett from Fort Wayne. And 6 in the morning, and then we got out. We went to our aunt's house, and then we drove around, kind of killing time until our flight was at 6 o'clock. And we got there at 5:20, which is much later than we wanted to, but we got all the way up to the front, and they said that we had just missed. They wouldn't take our baggage. We missed it by like 2 minutes, so Brittany had to work like the next day. So even though we'd been up for 12 hours, we rented a car and drove from Tampa to Fort Wayne.
Oh, jeez.
Without stopping. It was a very, very long day. I mean, I know people make that drive, but add on another 12 hours. It was just exhausting. I mean, we had a fun trip, but driving through the mountains at night and...
Is that a best or worst?
Worst. Yeah, worst. Definitely worst.
Brett, who's
It
at
was
fault?
awesome, bro.
Who is at fault for the missing of this flight?
We both were. We are
It was
travel
Brett was at
novices. Yeah, kind of. Travel novices, and we just took our time way too much and learned a valuable lesson, and hopefully that will never happen again.
How close were you? Were you like the doors closed right in front of you?
No, it
Home
wasn't
Alone
like
style?
that. It was like we were waiting in the line to check our baggage, and they were like, we can only check baggage up till 45 minutes before the flight. And we're like, that was 2 minutes ago. They're like, we're really sorry. So, like, no, they didn't shut the door in our face. They wouldn't even take our baggage. So we could have left our bags there, which actually, if you know, is like a federal crime. So we were kind of just stuck. So we got a sweet Dodge Charger, and we drove that home.
Did you get reimbursed for your tickets at least?
No.
Ooh. Yeah, that does.
That is
suck.
rough.
Yeah. Yeah, but, experience. Live and you learn. You've got to live and learn. Go.
Am I next? My next thesis?
Yeah, Mikey, hit us up.
Well, I mean, just in general, anytime the worst road trip you have is usually when you're stuck on the highway and you got to take a big dump, and you don't know when that's going to happen. So, just anytime you're always racing to the next pit stop is the worst road trip in my experience.
Just let it go, man. Just let it go.
Mikey lives his life a quarter mile to poop at a time.
Seriously, he sounds like Peter from Office Space, and my next poop is the worst poop I'll ever have.
I think every gas station poop is the worst poop ever.
Yeah, dude, it's the worst experience. It's never, oh wow, this is like a NASA spaceship bathroom. No, it's always...
Always disgusting.
Yeah.
There's a pretty gross one in this movie, too. But this is Josh from Goshen. My freshman year of college, me and some friends went to Myrtle Beach. And one night, there was like this kind of, I don't know, some sort of like Mardi Gras sort of party a couple hours away in a Georgian city. Well, these North Georgian Garden City police had a checkpoint. And... honestly, the only thing we were 19, and the only like shenanigans we got up to were we managed to get one Guinness and split it between the four of us. But these cops shook us down like crazy and were like threatening us, and it was pretty terrible. Like a fun story in hindsight, because like eventually we didn't have anything and they did let us go and whatever, but it was scary. It'll put the fear of God in you for sure, to be in the middle of nowhere, like 800 miles from your home state, and just have these, like, the big thing they kept saying was like, if we find one leaf a pot, you won't even see a judge for 7 days.
Oh, jeez.
It was pretty
Sounds like
crazy.
those cops were from Turtle Beach. Am I right?
Oh,
No.
Brett.
Next one is it, man. I'm telling you.
Keep throwing baloney at the wall, Brett. One of those is going to stick.
So to be clear, Josh, you did not even have one leaf of Hobbit's weed with you in the car?
Old Toby? No, we're clean. We were not riding dirty at all.
Wow. This is Pappy, recording from Louisville, Colorado, where I frequently ride dirty. Stevie, we had a pretty duality of road trips. One good, one pretty bad. When we drove to South Carolina to watch Notre Dame,
It was amazing.
Play Clemson, like driving down, full of life, full of spirit, having such a good time.
Yeah.
Piss and vigor, singing songs in the car. Get way, way too drunk at the game. End up like being in a hurricane. We're in like the shittiest hotel room of all time. Don't get a good night's sleep.
We lost each other after the game.
No voices. They have to drive back from South Carolina. Out hundreds of dollars of tickets, of alcohol, of a shitty hotel room, of a $300 Uber that we took to get from the stadium to our place. And then just, I remember like barely being able to like see the lines in the road, just feeling so sick and like shitty. So yeah, a good and a bad in one trip.
Where was the good?
The driving
The way
down,
down.
driving
Everybody sang
down
songs.
like through a hurricane. Like you're all pumped up. You know, never been to the stadium before. And, you know, watching the game through a hurricane was pretty awesome until Brian Kelly said, hey, let's go for two. And there's tons of time left. And it cost him the game.
I, too, saw an in-person hurricane game for the Irish, and they lost that against NC State. Yes, I was there being a videographer.
That was a bad one. They were bad
There
that
was
year.
just so many decisions to reflect on the drive home, like the amount of alcohol we had drank, getting separated, the amount of money we had
The
spent.
getting separated was the worst part because I had to go to the Clemson police station with no voice, nearly blackout drunk, saying, and my phone is dead.
Where's my pappy?
And so I'm asking this police officer, like, I need to use your phone. And she would not let me have it. So I'm there for like 20 minutes arguing with her, probably slurring my words way more than it should have been. And I just remember, Pap, what did you say? I think you said basketball. And so I just asked the lady, which way is the basketball arena? And she pointed. And Pappy and I literally found each other because we were screaming each other's names in the middle of a tropical storm. And, like, that's how we found one another. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I thought you didn't have any voice.
Screaming what we could, Brett.
It was losing. It was fading quickly.
I just poked holes in your story.
Well, there's also, you have to factor in the amount of alcohol that has been consumed. These are alcohol visions, shades, shadows on a cave of what happened that
Very
day.
shadows on a cave.
All right, this is Corey, Kylo Ren memes. I don't have any really big road trip stories like that, but when I was 17, right out of high school, me and my best friend at the time, we took a road trip from where we lived, which was in San Diego County, up to Seattle, Washington, because that's where we moved, like right out of high school that summer. We just put everything in his van and moved up there. And it's just like one of those memories that I'll always have like with me, you know, like just moving out on my own for the first time, being really young. I wasn't even 18 yet, and we got our own apartment and stuff. But the trip was pretty fun. I remember we stopped in a place it was either in NorCal or in Oregon. The city was called Weed, and we just thought that was really funny because we were young and stupid. I remember playing Mortal Kombat in the arcade in Weed, and I fell in love with the girl that worked at McDonald's. So yeah, it was just a fun trip, you know, being young and like being out on our own. We were super hyped the whole time, just really enjoying every minute of it. So that was a good time, man.
How did things go with the girl from McDonald's?
Hey now.
Didn't work out.
Oh, this is Steve. You're recording from Elkhart. I was going to say the Clemson one, Pat, but you just beat me to it. So I'll say, I don't know if it was worse, but it just always makes me laugh. I went down to, it's called Watercolor, Florida. It's where they shot the Truman Show with my in-laws. This is like back in 2014, I think. Had a great time. We drove down there. We were going to drive back. And I remember my mother-in-law saying, I'll take first drive. I thought, it's kind of weird. Maybe I should just do it. You know what? Whatever. So we leave at like 6 o'clock at night, maybe. Like, okay, like we'll be out of Florida, you know, relatively quick. It's 1 in the freaking morning, and I wake up like days like, oh, we should be in Georgia. You know, how we doing on time? We're still in Florida. My mother-in-law, I don't know how she did it. We're like in the back roads swamps of Florida, like many an hours later of where we should have been. And if you know where Watercolor is, it's in the freaking Panhandle. So it should not take that long to leave Florida. That was definitely one of my favorites.
Yikes.
True Detective Season 1.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we were that close to Carcosa. Like... Yeah, it was a wild, wild time. But let's talk about this movie. Pap, I brought this up to you earlier. I kind of want to know if you get the feeling of this movie. We talked about, you know, some directors feel like they've watched a lot of movies, and some directors feel like they've read a lot of books. How does this movie kind of feel for you?
Between those two?
Yeah, like, do you think...
Well,
like,
this was your point. You should speak on it. I mean, you're the one who told me this, the books versus movies thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just... I don't know if you guys get this feeling. I almost feel like nothing cinematically exciting happens in this movie. Definitely. This movie just almost feels like, you know, a book, like, coming to life on screen. There's nothing, like, visually stunning to look at. The colors are rather drab, which is kind of the mood of the movie. And also, like, the way they use the camera is just very basic. Did you get that feeling, Josh? You work in cameras a lot.
I would say it's nothing stunning, but the one kind of trick that they do is there's a lot more, like, blurring on the edges. And
yeah,
maybe some even, like, desaturizing. And I think that's supposed to be kind of, like, Poe's point of view, right? Like he's constantly in a state of non-sobriety, lacking sleep.
What is this, Teletubbies?
Do you like the color grading, Josh? Because I feel like we talked about it like this. I feel like this is almost like a spiritual sequel to A Brother Where Art Thou, because it's like got the folk music and extreme color grading and kind of an Odyssey like story. But I don't know. I saw a lot of people saying that they like seriously hated the look of the movie.
The cat's name is Ulysses.
Get it?
Oh, brother, where art thou?
How you doing, Big Dan? My name is Ulysses Everett McGill. This is my associate, Delmer O'Donnell. A detect like me, you're endowed with the gift of gab.
It is drab, but I didn't think it was like bad. There's some like shots in the hall. I still think they do a lot of interesting things. I'll just say that. And I don't want to get too deep into the woods, but some of them that come to mind are like
The
hallways, and everyone's like small apartments. I think it's drab colors, but I still think it's well done.
It's very dreamy and very like almost surreal looking. Everything's like Josh said, all of the edges are really blurred. Just looks very soft. And he's like high and drunk all the time, so it's like, yeah, this is probably what he sees all the time. And probably pre-hypothermic.
The only sleeps he gets are like 10 minutes before a cop wakes him up on a bench or whatever.
Doesn't Deakins usually do the Coen cinematography?
He didn't do this one.
Yeah, this is some guy named Bruno, a cinematographer named Bruno Del Bonell. He did Amelie, and he also did The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is also kind of a similarly depressing Coen.
But those movies are like brightly colored for the most part.
Yeah, Amelie's considered like one of the, I think it was number one on some list of like most beautifully shot movies of like from the 2000s. So that surprises me that it's so drab.
There's a scene with him and Carey Mulligan in the park, and like she must have like some whitish makeup on, but she looks straight black and white. Like she has no color to her in this like image. It's pretty insane.
But I mean, Brett, you describe it as drab, but it like fits with the tone.
Yeah, for sure.
Movie, right? Yeah, it's not like it's out of place.
Brett, you have a strong disdain for arrogant people. Did you find it hard to root for our main character, Mr. Llewyn Davis?
Yeah, because first of all, he's a huge douchebag. He consistently makes the wrong decision. But whenever he's in a scene with Carey Mulligan or John Goodman, you're like, oh, he's pretty cool because they're like the freaking worst. So, yeah, I mean, that scene with the whatever their name is, and he flips out when they're eating dinner and he's playing guitar, that is like brutal.
Oh, honey. What are you doing?
What?
What is that? What are you doing?
Well, it's Mike's part.
Don't do that.
It's Mike's part.
I know what it is. Don't do that. Oh, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't do this, okay? I do this for a living. It's not a fucking parlor game.
That's like the one time that it's almost like explained, I felt like, where to me it was like he was lashing out because of the death of his friend very directly there. And even they understood that. So that one was forgivable for me, Brett, but there's some other things he does that's pretty terrible too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess first of all, the picture that is perfect, like you said, it looks black and white. I mean, that's not the best case of him just being, but like, it was brutally awkward for me. I have a hard time with that. And, yeah, I mean, these people have been pretty nice to you. You can at least humor them. But, that's how he is. And she definitely overreacts.
Stevie, do you think that's one of the best one of the best scenes in the movie?
When he pretty much just feels like that woman's like stealing like his friend's voice almost.
His look, the look on his face when she starts to sing, it's one of the funniest shots because it's like a two shot because you can see her like getting into it, like with the soul closing her eyes, and he just like looks disgusted.
He just looks absolutely disgusted. And he has a point though. Like, it's a strange feeling because to me, Llewyn Davis almost like self-grandizes himself all the time. Like he's almost thinks he's more important than he actually is in the musical world. But at the same time, he created, like him and his friend created something that like is not these people's. And I think a part of him almost felt like, he hasn't really dealt with the death of his friend that well. And it's almost like with her singing those words, it was almost like he was losing a memory of his friend. So I think you're right, Josh. It is one of the better scenes in this movie.
You guys are reading into it, of course, right? Because, I mean, what he says to them is he's like, I'm not a performing monkey, basically, right? Like, basically, he says that he's mad because he doesn't want to, like, do this. Like, they just put a guitar in his lap. They're like, play us a fucking song. And he's like, I don't want to do this. And then he starts playing. She starts singing, and he's like, God damn it, this isn't what I do, man. Like, you can't just, like, put a guitar in my lap and tell me to sing in front of everyone. And, I mean, aside from, like, the gore finds and maybe, like, Adam Driver, like, everyone around him, like, sucks, basically, I think. Like, people are really mean to him, especially Carey Mulligan. But he just seems to, like, blow up on the wrong people, you know?
Do you think Justin Timberlake is mean to him?
No, I was talking to Brittany. Like, there's some nice people in this movie. The gore fiends are nice. They're just a little patronizing. And I know you didn't ask me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going, Brett.
Yeah, Jim Berkey, he's a nice guy. He isn't in it, and he's like a cuck. But, you know...
Unwittingly so.
Unwittingly.
Yeah, he doesn't really know what's going on, but he needs to get with the program. I mean...
Well, I don't think he has a brain. He's very... I don't know. He seems really dumb. Everybody at the Gaslight auditioning and playing music just seems so odd to me.
One of my favorite characters is that way, Mikey, Troy Nelson. He's like that military guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a man of comforts.
I think Poe says something like, where's his higher functionality or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, does he have higher functionality?
You've got reasons aplenty for going.
What do you think?
What?
Him. Troy. Wonderful performer. Is he?
Wonderful.
Does he have higher function?
I think the meanest thing, like, I really think one of the cruelest things that Llewyn says the entire movie is, do you have to go plug in somewhere?
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny, too, because, like, you mentioned that he, like, lashes out at the wrong people. In Llewyn's mind, he's, like, this, you know, killing machine signed up to be a war. It's pretty clear that he got drafted. He's way more interested in arts. He's basically a pacifist. He's got, like, that guy from Hacksaw Ridge.
Yes.
Whatever movie that was. Like, he's, like, anti-violence in the military. And then Llewyn goes to, like, voluntarily, you know, like, become a sailor in the Merchant Marines, which is obviously different or whatever, but he's just such a hypocrite. Like, this guy didn't have any choice in the matter, and he's just blowing up on him for no reason other than jealousy.
Probably jealousy, but, like, also... Llewyn's cynicism to me is like really relatable, like just like being the asshole. Like, so to me, he's like, you know, maybe more heroic than you nice folk, but like, I fucking hated that military dude. I would hate to be around him. I would hate to talk to him. I would be the fuck out of there as soon as I could.
He's not a man of comforts.
I would be afraid that he's going to kill me. He is acting so bizarre. Like, he's acting like a serial killer. He's got, like, absolutely zero personality.
Well, how is he supposed to eat cereal? I don't get that. He eats cereal. Cereal crunches when you bite it, and you slurp the milk.
He slurps the milk so loudly.
Llewyn's just sitting there waiting for him to, like, say good morning, and he's drinking his milk like an asshole.
Mikey gets it. It's just like, I would be giving him that same look, dude. I think when he asks him, like, do you need to plug in somewhere? That's like putting it lightly. Like, basically saying, like, what the fuck is with you? Like, are you real? Like,
yeah. What is your major malfunction?
He's pretty nice. I mean, like, he's got kind of a crappy-ish life, too. He's grinding like everyone else, but he
makes it, yeah.
Nothing, it's not bothering him. And, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe it's that starving writer, starving musician type thing, where that's how a lot of people are. That's why they're so cranky. But maybe he is a little psychotic because he's the opposite. He's like a duck. Just water goes off his back and everything. So I don't know. I thought he was nice, but he's weird.
Stevie, I kind of thought about it this way. Like, you know how like the starving artist, like Brett said, is often romanticized.
Yes.
This feels like the actual kind of person you would meet who's living that lifestyle.
The actual
right?
starving artist.
Kind of like wearing on all of their friends' nerves to like the nth degree of thin. You know what I mean? Like bumming every smoke they smoke.
Professional couch surfers.
Yeah. Very Francis Ha.
Yeah, I mean, I did like what they did with it, especially the fact that like Llewyn always looks exhausted. And I think a lot of it too was not the fact that he didn't get sleep, but I think the anxiety of not knowing where like you're going to put your head for the night really weighs on Llewyn. And it's something that I almost wish was kind of brought up in the movie more, which is like how much this is actually weighing me down, not knowing where I'm going to sleep.
Well, it's represented visually, though, right?
Yeah.
Show don't tell. It's like he has the cat to carry around, and then at some point he literally has all those records to carry around. Like he has more and more stuff literally wearing him down.
And then as soon as he gets to set down his damn guitar, he gets pulled to a gig, and he doesn't have his guitar for it. And that's kind of how it goes for him.
Outer
space. I have a gig? Do you think I'll need my guitar? I can't hear you because of train. I don't know if I'll need my guitar for my guitar gig.
Wouldn't you just take it anyway?
Yeah. Dude, it's your gig.
And that's kind of like also the funny side of the movie is that he also has like the worst luck. Like with the train thing, like something is always happening to give him a disadvantage, it feels like in the movie. So, but it doesn't help that he's also an asshole.
Yeah, just like a small example of that point is you remember like when he has the cat and he doesn't know what to do and he calls like the Gorfine guy. That's, by the way, that's a Neelix from Star Trek Voyager. But he calls him and he says, can you just tell him that Llewyn has the cat? And she's like, Llewyn is the cat? Like, I feel like that's the kind of shit I have to deal with at work, and it just fucking really grinds me, man. Like that was like a perfect, like, relatable thing. Like, no, like, why would I say Llewyn is the cat? That doesn't make any sense.
Except, Corey, did you maybe just stumble upon the whole premise of the movie?
That Llewyn is the cat?
Ooh.
Oh, you mean like there's a deeper meaning to that sentence?
My God.
Those Coens read a lot of books, man.
By God.
They show, what is it, the never ending, or what's the journey with the three, gosh, I can't think of the pet movie.
The never ending journey? No, it's called The Incredible Journey.
The Incredible Journey, the poster.
Homeward Bound.
Homeward Bound's a remake.
Yeah, it's better and they abuse the animals less.
Oh! Mikey, we talked about how Llewyn is just a kind of a horrific asshole, but understandably why. Was there anything in this movie that kind of made you feel empathy for him outside of not making it in the music biz?
Well, you brought up him not knowing where he's going to sleep at night. I can't imagine how awful that would feel, especially in winter. He made a point to his like manager or something that he didn't even have a coat because he didn't get any advance on his record, and he just is struggling to find a house in the winter, and it's like really anxiety inducing for me, at least. I can't imagine what he's going through.
Get a job.
So staunch.
The bomb's lost.
This is kind of a Stevie question, but do you think that from his like song with his partner, he did have some sort of payout at one point, or do you think he's always been starving like his whole career?
Well, I think it's just those things where it's like, you know, anytime Llewyn takes a step forward, it's always two steps back. And
yeah, come together, abstract.
I almost want to see, like, I'm almost happy we didn't see like Llewyn before his friend or partner even took his life. Like, I can't like imagine Llewyn in a world where he's like happy and friendly and things are going right. Like, Llewyn existing in this world like works perfectly for me. And the one thing, kind of get your guys' good opinion on this, I thought like brought empathy to the character was the fact that he didn't even know like he had a kid in Dayton, Ohio. Like that's
Akron.
Oh, Akron, my bad.
Home of the Zips.
Akron, Ohio.
Home of AA.
That storyline actually worked for me for the simple fact that when you have a really kind of grumpy, cynical, shitty character, the directions they can go in are endless. You don't box them in right away. And part of me almost felt like he was going to turn like to Akron. Did you feel that, Pap? Or did you think he was going to straight shoot it?
It's funny because there's a YouTube video that I got pushed to me in my suggested feed a couple months ago before this movie was even suggested, and it's a pretty young interviewer talking to the Coens, and he said something to that effect, like, "Hey, did you ever consider having Llewyn Davis drive off, take that exit to Akron?" And it's just kind of like, no. Such so flatly no. Like, and they go on to elaborate. They're like, it's just not that kind of movie. Where, you know what I mean? If Llewyn Davis would do that, it's just a fundamentally, totally different movie. Like what you guys have said, he's always making the wrong choice, and he's kind of always being karmically punished for doing these things. And yeah, there was like, I don't know. I think at the beginning when I first saw this, I thought there might be a chance, but once you see what this movie is in its totality, it's just like, yeah, he's not that kind of guy.
I did think that was one of the more beautiful shots of the movie, passing by on the bypass and kind of this like twinkling city and like the thoughts playing in your mind of him thinking about possibly a small child that's his there. I don't know. That's a pretty interesting part of the movie.
I think it's interesting because that's obviously like a very pivotal scene, because everything after that is basically Groundhog's Day from the beginning of the movie, as we're going to find out. So it's like, if he had made that choice there, maybe he would have, he's obviously not going to be in the same situation he was like the past 2 weeks leading up to this horrible road trip and everything. He had a chance to like change his course in life and he didn't take it.
Stevie, what's the balance with like a sad sap character like this versus like him being an asshole? You know what I mean? Like, how do you, because you clearly feel some empathy for him. I kind of feel like I said, it's kind of like karma, that everything he has coming to him. Like, do you see a balance in that? Like we are supposed to feel bad for him in the context of this, or are we supposed to be like, he's getting what he deserves?
Well, I think there's two sides to it. Like you just said, like, I think there's a camp that would say like, oh my God, I can't imagine like not knowing I had a kid in the world and like what was like racing through his brain. And there's also people that would be like, you know, not knowing where to sleep at night, starving artists. Like, I'm sure there's people listening, I mean, that have seen this movie that were starving artists at one point being like, yeah, it takes an absolute toll on you to go that route. So it's almost heroic in that kind of view. But also, you know, kind of like you and Mikey said, like, he's had every opportunity to correct a lot of his wrongs, and he just constantly makes the wrong choice. So I think that's kind of one of the cool things the Coens did with this movie is they make him a really polarizing character.
I'd like to know from maybe one of you guys, maybe you, Stevie, like, what's a choice he makes in this movie where he should have done the other thing outside of the one we just talked about?
Not banged his friend's girlfriend.
Yeah, but that's like already done in the movie, right?
Not scream at a woman just trying to play her instrument and sing in peace. What
that
kind
is
of
a
panties
mistake.
She's
Hold
wearing.
on, though. Let's go back in time. The thing with Carrie Mulligan, I'll answer the Stevie question.
Takes two to tango, bro.
I feel like him and her are like relate on a different, higher level than he does with most people, and that she does with Jim. And I think that it was probably like in Morning of Mike that they like slipped up, which makes it even more like fucked up that she's like so mean to him so often. But Pappy and Stevie, you guys, I feel like you're saying this doesn't romanticize like the starving artist. A huge part of this movie to me is his like odyssey to Chicago, where he meets Rex Grossman or whatever, plays for him, gets rejected, and then he like never mentions that to anyone. That's just like a cross that he bears, you know, like,
because it happens to him all the time.
He was in the winter Chicago with one wet shoe. Like, how do you not feel bad for this guy?
This is a Wednesday for this guy. He's been kicked down so many times.
I
can't
agree.
Imagine how often he's traveled across country to get shut down immediately. He just wants to make it, and I feel like he just has the absolute worst luck. That's why he's an asshole now.
I mean, before the end, I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this. Whoever jump in. Do you think like the Bud Grossman line where he just is like, I don't see any money in this whatsoever. You know, like, you're not a front man. Maybe if you know, give yourself a goatee and stay out of the sun, maybe you can have a shot somewhere in this business, but you're not going to make it by yourself. when he just kind of looks down and goes, okay, do you guys think that's him, like, finally quitting on his dreams?
I mean, knowing what you know afterwards, yeah, kind of. He's just like, well, that was his last best shot, I guess. I don't know.
To me, it was when he like ran out of money, kind of. Like his money dwindling to like a couple like quarters on the
It's tragic,
couch.
dude.
That was kind of like, well, he's run out of time or something.
I think that's what that particular scene is what makes me think about Josh's point earlier, where this whole thing is the shadow of his friend's suicide and him like reacting this way, right? Like, because I think Rex Grossman says something to the effect of like,
Rex Grossman.
like yeah, you should have. My advice is you get back together with your partner, and he's like, that's good advice, as he like bundles up his guitar, and that's where I see like the look of defeat, like, you know, I'm not going to be able to do this shit on my own, which. No, I'm not gonna lie. Rex Grossman's not wrong. That song, no one's listening to that song on an A side of anything.
I loved it though, but
it's
yeah,
a great
it's
song.
definitely.
No, it's a great song, but yeah, there's literally no money in it. He's not wrong.
He doesn't sing a happy song at all.
No,
the
but
whole movie.
His songs are like actually have emotion and personality to it, and everybody succeeding around him is so bland and cookie cutter, and he's losing his mind.
Yeah, that's the point they make, is that the people that are popular are actually awful, right? The people that make the money. And there's the example of that stupid fucking outer space song.
Oh my
Please,
god,
Mr. Kennedy. I don't want to go.
I don't think I've laughed so hard at a random scene in so long. Just that caught me so off guard.
Like, that starts to become a hit by the end.
My favorite part is when they cut to the producer in the studio and he's just fucking jamming to it. Like, he's like, yes, this is a hit.
Space. Are you reading me loud and clear? Oh, please, Mr. Kennedy. I don't wanna go. Don't show out of space. Oh, please, Mr. Kennedy. I don't wanna go. Don't show out of space. I'm 6'2", and so perhaps you'll tell me how to fit into a five capsule.
Obviously, we have like "Lonely Island" of like our generation. Is that like the "Lonely Island" song of the '60s?
Yeah, I think it's more of a. God, what's the word they use
Thriller.
for it?
That's
Parody?
the Thriller of the '60s.
It's like Nick Cannon. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Novelty song.
It reminds me of the Birds' "Hey, Mr. Spaceman." If you've heard that.
How's it go, Pap? Sing.
Hey, Mr. Spaceman. It actually was featured on Muppets Unplugged, which is playing now in the background. Gonzo sings it. Classic. That's where I know it.
Oh, Gonzo cover? Nice.
Yeah. Great album, Muppets Unplugged.
To me, it seemed like it was this like out of fashion kind of like 50s like goofball gimmicky music, you know? So I was surprised that it was like it did turn out to be a hit, because I thought that's going to be the point they were going to make, like, oh, no one's into this kind of music anymore. But no, of course, it's, you know, it's getting around, but no royalties for Llewyn, unfortunately.
Another mistake he made.
Did that drive you crazy, Brett? Because when I saw that, that made me think of you for some reason. Like, I guarantee you Brett's losing his mind at this decision right now.
I wasn't happy. I mean, it's a bad decision, but that's kind of how he is. Like, he needs money now, and, you know, I guess I don't fault him, because as we talked about, he needs a place to stay. He needs a winter coat. He needs a job. Oh wait, no, it's yeah, but it's also his personality. Like, he's making fun of the song. He thinks it's beneath him, so he can't possibly think that it could succeed. So he's like, well, I'll take my $200 now instead of getting paid $9 over the next year when this thing doesn't sell. But, you know, it's just kind of another mistake he makes. So
You've been like, no, I need the royalties for this one. This is gonna be it, man.
Well, he should have done what Bobby Boucher's dad said. Take the money, dummy. I mean, no Waterboy fans except for Stevie. Okay.
I laughed. I think that's hilarious.
I thought you were on the ESPN.
At that time, he's still looking for money for the abortion, right?
Yes.
He doesn't have the freebie punch card from the abortion doctor quite yet.
Which it might not even be his, and it might not even be Jim's. It might be Pappy's or whatever that dude is named.
Hey now.
Poppy, right? Poppy?
Yeah, that was a huge gut punch, right? When it's like, oh, I'm not her special side dude.
I thought we're led to believe that she hadn't fucked him at that point because Poppy is like, that Jean, I'd like to fuck her. And then later on in the movie, he has that speech where he's like, the guys, they want to fuck Jim. You know what I mean? He just goes on and on and on for like way too long about it. But then he says that he fucked her. So I think it happened like while he was on his Odyssey. And I was wondering, did Gene, Carey Mulligan, fuck Poppy so he could be on the stage? So Llewyn could be on the stage?
I think that's kind of what she intimated there. Kind of like you were talking about the time didn't match up because when he was watching the Jim and Jean, the guy said he wanted to bang her or whatever, but
which is interesting too, because in that scene, she's like, yes, I asked him specifically if he could play there again. And then he says that he loves her. So that's just like a really, if you think about it from the perspective that she fucked to get him that gig, that is an interesting combo.
It doesn't make her a good person. I hate her so much. Talk about not taking any responsibility for anything.
She's a piece of shit, dude.
Yeah.
The way she treats this guy is so fucked up. Like
she's an abuser, man. That's what she is.
He takes it too. He never says like, shut the fuck up or like, I'm leaving. He just sits there and takes it. But this shit builds up for him and then he's going to blow up on someone the next day, you know? That's just the way he is.
Do you think it has something to do with Jim being so nice? Like that kind of boils up in her and that's why she needs like an outlet because she's obviously got it in her. She's not very nice and she makes it seem like I won't say rapes her, but take advantage of her.
I took it more like she's just like obviously really pretty and very, very talented. And, you know, Jim likes her and that's just kind of who she is. You know what I mean? Like she's just kind of, she's trying to settle down and get more of in a relationship and become more of an adult. She wants to have kids and Llewyn's still kind of stuck in this, in his 20s, starving artist loop, right?
Yeah, but she has sex with at least 3 people during this movie, so she hasn't grown up that much.
True.
But I see what you're saying. That could definitely be more possible than what I said.
Pappy, that whole bit about how the guys come to have sex with Jim, is that not like an NSYNC reference? Like,
what?
Go on, Josh.
He's talking about Justin Timberlake's character who is famous because of his singing for NSYNC, which is a
Lance
band
Bass? Is it a Lance Bass reference?
I thought it was more of just saying he's a pretty guy.
I just thought NSYNC like made their money off their sex appeal, and that was like Justin Timberlake playing kind of that same character in this movie.
I don't know if I track with that, but like I don't know. Everyone's met a guy like Poppy, right? Who's just like kind of like a little bit out of it and kind of greasy, scummy older guy who you don't really like
Joey
that much.
Diaz.
But he's in a position of power, so you kind of have to like, kiss his ass a little bit. And I don't know. Like even the way Llewyn's like, he's like, Poppy's like, you know what I mean? They want to fuck Jim, and Llewyn's like, you're saying they want to fuck Jim. He's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the 13-year-old girls at the NSYNC concert want to have sex with Justin.
You're taking it to a weird place, Josh. I don't understand the road you're going down. Don't take the exit ramp to Akron right now. Stay on the highway.
From Chicago to NYC.
We need the soundboard.
Okay.
I need to get the soundboard going.
Hey now.
We haven't talked about John Goodman, heroin addict John Goodman, at all. Does he overdose in Elkhart, Indiana? Is that his approximate location?
Yeah. Yes.
Was it black tar?
Literally, if you drive from Chicago to New York, you will pass through Elkhart, Indiana.
Yeah, 3 hours.
You'll pass by the spot where he overdosed. It looks just like Amish country.
What restaurant do you think that is? Is it like supposed to be like Steak and Shake or the old Alley Oops or any other theories?
That's the original Alley Oops.
Well, Adam Driver's character was like, yeah, stop by my high school in Mishawaka. I need you to pick up some books for me.
Oh, Allie's Diner in Mishawaka. That's what it is.
Cock-a-doodle-doo Cafe?
Grandma's Pancakes? Corey, you got any?
He's clearly at Yankee Doodles. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Roland Turner is John Goodman character's name, and he's with Johnny Five, right? That's the name of his like fucking hard ass like fucking strong and silent driver.
Also, probably his supplier and dealer.
But it's funny that he's a freaking beat poet.
It's hard to understand what the fuck he was saying, man. Like, you know, he never talks, and then he like tells like a story like 2 words at a time about something with a poem that he wrote, or I don't know. I had no idea what the fuck he was talking about.
And his poems heavily feature the word fuck for some reason. They're very aggressive.
Yeah, dude, he's a mumble rapper.
The original mumble rapper.
Yeah, I had to put on subtitles because I could not understand what he was saying. But it's just like disjointed words. Doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm sure it means something to someone, but
Oscar Isaac seemed to be like with it, almost like in a superhuman sort of way. And he was like, really? Why did that happen?
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what happened? I didn't know
I think he's
anything
looking
even
for a
happened.
conversation with anyone that's not John Goodman's character. Can we, like, okay, here's a Stevie question, but for everybody. John Goodman freezes to death and dies, right?
The cat eats his face, for sure.
By the way, that was a question Stevie asked earlier. A mistake is something he should have done differently, or somebody. He probably should have taken the cat. I mean, he uprooted this cat from his home, and then he left him there to die.
Does he hit the cat later? Is that what we're supposed to infer?
I don't think you're supposed to know, but I mean...
But it's literally supposed to be raising the question of he might have hit the same cat that he displaced from New York.
That's definitely the point of it.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't go grab the cat again. Like, I don't think he wants to be responsible for anything. I mean, I don't know.
He's like King Midas's idiot brother. Everything he touches turns to shit.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's mine.
No, how would I know?
So it could be Jim's.
Yes, asshole!
But you don't want it either way, to be clear.
To be clear, asshole, you fucking asshole, I want very much to have it if it's Jim's. That's what I want. But since I don't know, you not only fuck things up by fucking me and maybe making me pregnant, but even if it's not yours, I can't know that. So I have to get rid of what might be a perfectly fine baby. A baby I want, because everything you touch turns to shit! Like King Midas's idiot brother.
Well, okay.
But John Goodman steals the fucking show in this movie, does he not?
Yeah, I guess.
You don't like him, Brett?
He's just kind of an annoying dick. I mean, he's
That's
good
everyone
at,
in this movie.
I mean, he's good at every. I mean, I would say, I point out Mikey's Letterboxd review, like Adam Driver's like favorite bit part, like maybe he's ever seen. It's just, I don't know. Sure, he's John Goodman. I mean,
is he too arrogant for you, Brett?
No, I mean, I don't know where this came from. I said like 3 people are arrogant. And I'm
in a row.
Apparently,
3 people in a row.
Hey guys, I've only called like 97 people arrogant. What's the deal?
I had the John Goodman line, grown man with a cat. I think I've posted this in the thread a few times, but that's been my iPad background since I first saw this movie on this like ancient iPad. I screenshotted it and saved it right away. Like every day I am a grown man with a cat. I think about being a grown man with a cat. I don't know, like the heroin stuff is pretty interesting, right? Like, cause you're wondering why he's such a sleepy kind of out of it dude who somehow clicks and starts rambling.
What's the N stand for?
What?
What's the N stand for? Llewyn Davis.
Llewyn, Llewyn. It's Welsh.
Well, it would have to be something stupid fucking name like that. You don't look Welsh.
My mother was Italian.
Here, this would interest you. Johnny and I were in Seattle playing the high spot. Remember this, Johnny? And I became indisposed after eating a toasted cheese sandwich and found myself purging from every orifice, one of them like a fire hose. I said to the manager, "What do you call that thing I just ate?" He said, "Welsh rarebit." I said, "Okay. Does everything from Wales make you shit yourself or just this piece of toast?"
What is the point of this, Pap? What is the point of Roland Turner and Johnny Five?
Oh, I mean,
is it just a vehicle? Like, is it really just to make the trip to Chicago interesting, or are we supposed to like actually learn something from this?
So I'm only getting that it's like, oh, sorry, Pap, go for it.
Well, no, you should have covered for me there because I have no idea what to say. I don't know what the Coens want us to think. Like I said, when I'm watching this movie, I'm pretty frustrated with the decisions Llewyn Davis is making, and sometimes like disappointed and angry, you know, in the decisions that the character's making. Then he meets these two guys who seem like even bigger assholes than him in kind of a way, you know what I mean? So it's almost kind of showing like a lower floor to like behavior in this movie. So he's not just like the worst person in the whole movie. But I don't know, Josh, what do you read?
No, I was just actually going to point to what Mikey said earlier to point out like this is bizarre, but maybe the point is this is like the kind of crap he has to go through on a Wednesday, you know, dealing with characters like this because he lives in such a scummy sort of situation or something.
Yeah, I mean, he has no choice but to put up with shit like this probably all the time, right? Which is, I think, why he takes like the shit talking pretty well, like a lot better than I would. And he doesn't really like snap on John Goodman, but he like fires back when Goodman talks about his dead partner, right?
Mm-hmm. And if you look at this as like, you know, if someone's going to say, I'm going to tell a story about Greenwich Village at the time that Bob Dylan was coming up, like in your head, you're picturing, I said, this romanticized version of these, they're going to have struggles or whatever, but it's still going to be pretty, you know, clean to some extent. Like this is like people overdosing on heroin, right? Which is definitely a part of this scene for sure at the time, drug abuse and alcohol abuse and everything that goes with that. But it's just another way to sort of show into that. Because John Goodman's an artist too, right? He's like a jazz musician. So it's another side of this world.
Big jazz cat.
I love it when he's judging Llewyn for his cowboy chords.
Yeah. G, C.
No masse shots, no coins on cloth. Don't give me rules. You play what you play. Well, you don't. But in jazz, you know, we play all the notes. 12 notes of the scale, dipshit. Not 3 chords on a ukulele. G, G, C, G, C, D, G.
I think one of the better parts about this movie is, I mean, I hate to bring up Moondog and Harmony Korine, but like, I think if you look at this movie from a story perspective, it's really hard to get into. But I think if you look at this movie like it's an album and every kind of transition between scenes and scenes we're seeing are like a different song, I think this movie's a lot more fluid in that regard.
Do you have a favorite song in the movie, Stevie?
Oh, it's actually my favorite Llewyn moment because it shows him how much of a pompous man this is. When the man with no higher function, Carey Mulligan and Timberlake go to sing, what is it, 500 Miles?
Yeah.
I love it when that dude goes, we have someone very special in the audience, and I'd like to bring him up here.
And they bring my guitar.
You guys know him well. And Llewyn shouts out, I didn't bring my guitar! It's the single most arrogant thing you can say. And like, he was humbled so quickly. That was my favorite Llewyn moment. One of the last questions, Pat, this is directed towards you. You're a big Simon and Garfunkel fan.
True.
Did a lot of the songs in this movie feel like based directly off a Simon and Garfunkel song?
Yeah.
I got those vibes from a lot of these songs.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you hear like something that's set up to be a 2-part male harmony,
acoustic,
folk song, you get some Simon and Garfunkel vibes. Speaking of the very ending of the movie, you know, it's just kind of sad too that he has sort of his epic performance, like Fare Thee Well or whatever the song is, and then Bob Dylan, legendary, comes up and sings a song that also has the word like farewell in it. You know what I mean? And you know, no one's gonna remember Llewyn Davis's performance after seeing like Bob fucking Dylan, and you know that's like when the Times picked him up and everything. It's just like this last little sad sap moment that he has the best performance in his life, and he's opening basically for Bob fucking Dylan. It's like, poor guy.
Yeah, and if Llewyn Davis hadn't been getting his ass kicked in the alley, he'd probably be like in there talking shit about Bob Dylan too.
And then getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it just made me think about like, well, that's show business, baby. You could just not get the break, and Bob Dylan really does come on right after you, and nobody remembers your performance. It's just all chance trying to make it big. I thought it was like pretty fitting end to his story.
Do you guys like it better or worse than when John Lennon is in Forrest Gump?
No religion too?
I'm going to go better on that. This is better than that scene in Forrest Gump.
So how do you guys interpret the ending then? Is this like pretty much the window, like the door is closed on Llewyn for good? Or do you think like there's any sort of hope that like he may find his day in the sun at some point?
I think he thinks it's over. I think that's the whole point of the au revoir at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. He'd probably get a big gig and figure out a way to screw it up.
I think we're led to believe he's like not escaping this lifestyle, right?
Correct.
And that's
yeah.
I agree,
that's
Corey.
probably why it opens and closes that way, right?
Like
I mean,
loop.
at the beginning, when I saw it, I was like, okay, this guy's playing in front of a decent crowd. He's a semi-successful musician, maybe just locally. And then when he goes outside and he gets his ass kicked, you know, they don't explain a whole lot in that scene. So I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's like in some crazy shit, right? Like, what's going to be the story behind this? And it's not a big story behind it, really. He just yelled at someone and he got his ass kicked for it, and this is just his day-to-day. Like, it's... that crowd was there for Dylan, and he just happened to be the opener.
Yeah, I got that. I got the exact opposite interpretation, Brett, of the au revoir, because he's saying that to. So the guy who kicks his ass is the husband of the woman from Arkansas who Llewyn Davis harassed the previous night. And one of the last things, the second to last line of the movie is the husband saying that he's getting out of New York. He hates the cesspool. And Llewyn Davis is like, you know, au revoir, like see ya. Like he's choosing to stay in the lifestyle. The whole point of the movie is the grind that these people are living in.
Yeah.
That Llewyn Davis is living in. Like
makes the wrong
this woman
decision
can't hack
again.
it. Yeah. Well,
to
true.
Boo, when he's making fun of that woman, I feel like a big thing is like he only looks at people like how authentic are they being? Like, oh, look at this army guy singing like these sad love songs, and like no one's authentic. I'm the only one who's authentic. Then he sees this like woman who's actually from Oklahoma or whatever.
So sad.
Playing her zippy zither or whatever the hell that little instrument is.
She's just having fun. She's vibing.
I felt so bad for her. My gosh.
That was such a shitty move on his part. That's where he should have been like trying to learn something from that performance. And he
ripped on the 4 Irish guys.
He still probably has a wet sock from earlier that day, to be fair, though. Like, that's rough.
Just squishing about in the gaslight.
He's a slur towards Irish people.
What would have been a great fallback joke is if like he walked to stage and Bob Dylan walking up to the stage after him slips from the water squeeging out of his sock.
That's like the end of Bob Dylan and the beginning of Llewyn Davis.
I'm falling down.
Dylan down.
I slipped on a banana peel.
How does it feel?
How does it feel? I'm like a rolling stone. You guys like Bob Dylan? What's the pod's thoughts on Bob Dylan?
Love Bob Dylan.
Stevie loves.
Yeah, he's cool.
I became I finally got it when I listened to a lot of Bob Dylan albums over last year. I like his really early stuff. It's really, really good. I didn't like the 90s and 2000s stuff, but
no one does.
He sounds like a freaking demon.
No one likes that Dylan.
He's way too Leonard Cohen towards the end of his life. It's pretty bad, but
I haven't listened to a lot of it, but I don't hate what I've listened to. I mean, I would probably agree that his earlier stuff is much more pleasant to listen to or better to listen to than his newer stuff, for sure.
He's got like a Nobel Peace Prize or something.
No, he got the Nobel Prize for Literature a couple years ago. Not a Peace Prize.
Well, my bad. So he got the Nobel Writing Prize, which is kind of like indicative. Like, I think his music is kind of like boring, but like if you dig into his lyrics, it's a lot of like stuff there. So hard to take that away from him, at least.
And he's not like known for being, you know, the nicest, most forthcoming, like warm person. It's like literally the difference between Llewyn Davis and Bob Dylan is the set time and about 20,000 metric tons of talent. And that's the only real difference between the two.
Pap, you like Dylan?
Oh, yeah. I think Hey Mr. Tambourine Man, that might be in like my top 3 songs of like any song.
I literally just told someone like 4 or 5 months ago, I said, that might be the greatest song ever written. I mean...
It's so good. Take me disappearing through the smoke rings of my mind, down the shadow ruins of time. Like singing about like escapism and art and everything. Like, and I fuck the Birds version of that. The Dylan version is the only good one.
I was gonna say when I was a kid, I liked the Birds version a lot more. Now it's like, oh my god, it's not even on the same planet.
I think that's the case for like almost all the Bob Dylan covers,
except for the Jimi Hendrix one.
Yeah, All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix is way better. I'm sorry. And so is To Make You Feel My Love by Garth Brooks. That's better.
All right, let's not get crazy.
And then we're talking Guns N' Roses here. Is that what you didn't want, right?
Stay on target.
This always happens with my pods. Last thing, have you guys seen the Bob Dylan movie, I'm Not There?
No. It's weird, right? With a bunch of different people
it's
playing it.
It's not for everybody, but I think it's a damn good movie.
Just pick it. I'd love to see it. I was really hesitant on that because I heard really bad reviews, and at the time I was like into Dylan a lot, so I skipped it.
I think if you're like a Dylan fan, you would love it. And I think if you're a movie fan, you would love it. I mean, between like Cate Blanchett plays the best Dylan, and to see like a young Christian, see Christian Bale play a really young Dylan, and Heath Ledger play Dylan, and also like Richard Gere plays Dylan, it's really neat. I think any Bob Dylan fan would really like it. Before we get into yes or no, do you guys have anything else to add about Inside Llewyn Davis?
I was just gonna ask you guys, like, do you think this movie has like some sort of... Josh, what was your movie, your Coen Bros movie?
What do you mean, what was mine?
You had the last one you did.
A Serious Man.
Yeah, A Serious Man. Do you think... It almost felt like, with that ending, that it like, oh, is there some sort of like metaphysical type deal? Because he's just doing a loop again, and he didn't even realize it until like the last... I don't even think he ever realized it, because he's doing the exact same shit. But, I don't know, it just feels like... there's also the implication of like a metaphysical thing here. I don't know why they... Is that a theme with them? Do they always do that?
Who's the guy that pushed whose punishment was to push the rock up the hill?
Sisyphus.
Yeah, he's just Sisyphus.
Musical Sisyphus.
Caught a bad case of Sisyphus.
Okay, so if that's true, what was Sisyphus's like reason for being punished? Like, why did he have to?
I cannot
remember. Had to do with the humans, I thought.
Well, I mean, you could also say Prometheus. He was tied to a hill and had his liver pecked out by a
harpy.
Yeah, it was like more a bird, like every day, and he stole fire. And then I mean, all the Titans and stuff. You could all say they.
Oh, it's because he cheated death twice. That's why.
Sisyphus did?
Yeah, Sisyphus cheated death twice. He was like really cunning, and he cheated death, and his punishment for like forever time was pushing that boulder up the hill just to have it roll back down again, to do the same thing over and over again for an absolute loop through eternity.
Sisyphus was also he ran the festival of athletic and musical competitions. So there's like that music part of that.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah. I guess 3 final notes. 1, I don't think there's any direct Sisyphus references in this movie. I think this is all done
Stevie
conjecture.
cracked the code. That's
on
it.
our part. 2, Mrs. Gorfine yelling, "Where's its scrotum, Llewyn? Where is its scrotum?" This face hilarious. And 3, there are 2 girls alumni. Weird that Ray is in this. Did you notice that, Stevie? Ray is Marty Green. What's his name's Mr. Gorfine's like assistant or a friend guy who's over for dinner.
Really?
You didn't notice that? Yeah, it's Ray from Girls.
You're joking. You're kidding me, right? No. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I mean, if we're going quotes, I also like that scrotum one quite a lot. But when he says, "I'm not current," is that a nautical term? Like, that just really struck me, man. That was good.
Oh, also when he was talking to that guy, and he's like, he won't let him on the boat. He's like, why? Because I'm communist. He goes, the guy behind the goes, Shopmanite? And Llewyn Davis goes, what? And he goes, no, that's not the reason why. Like, brushes him aside.
Was he supposed to say that? Was he like intimating that he was a secret communist or something?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Shopmanite was a disciple of Trotsky or something. Shopmanite?
What about the scene with Llewyn and his dad?
I love that scene.
Right?
Does he pee himself or crap himself?
He shit himself.
Okay.
I think that's where he decides, like, yeah, I'm done with music.
I thought it was going to be like a sweet moment. Like, I thought he was going to, like, he was digging it, whatever, and you find out he's just literally just crapping his pants. That's why it looks like he's in heaven.
Right. I love that misdirect. Like, he's getting through to his dad, who's, like, not all there. He just, like, sits there. I don't know, whatever he has, but, he's clearly, like, doesn't have his mental wits about him. And the song that Llewyn plays is, like, really nice, and it's beautifully done. And then he just shits himself, and, like, that's it. Like,
that's, Mikey, how many times that happened on your road trips? You just let it go.
We're at a 100% success rate on every road trip.
So far.
Yeah, so far.
Okay, let's get into yes or no's. I will start this time. I think it's the first time I've ever started on a trivia yes or no before. I will give this a hard yes. It's not the most pleasing movie to watch, but that is a story it's trying to tell. I think it's acted beautifully. I think it's written amazingly. I love the dialogue, and I just kind of like you guys brought up, it doesn't necessarily romanticize the starving artist. It's like, no, like, this is in the shit, here's what's happening, and here's how bad it can really get. And even though Llewyn Davis was a severely unlikable character, there were times where I just had to empathize with him. Not my favorite Coen brother movie, probably not even my top 5 Coen brother movie, but it's still really enjoyable. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody. I think it's a very small quadrant. If you threw a dartboard that would enjoy this, I think it's a rather small target to hit, but I will give this a hard yes.
Yeah, this is Corey, Kylo Ren memes. This is a definite yes for me. Good movie. And thank you for the suggestion. That was Matt, right?
Thank you, Matt. Yes.
Matt, yep.
Not Matt Troll, the other Matt.
The other Matt, yes.
They're brothers.
Right. Thank you, Matt. This was my first time watching
Matt,
it.
not Troll!
And I liked it a lot. The cynicism just speaks to me, man. And I know you guys are saying that Llewyn's like a piece of shit or whatever. He makes all the wrong decisions. I don't know. I find him kind of relatable.
The right ones?
Look, I find him kind of relatable, and I understand the decisions he makes most of the time. Like, he's in a position, he's dug himself so deep. Like, in a lot of cases, he really has nowhere to go. And he does the only option available to him at the time, I think. But outside of that, I just think it's clever. It's a nice look into what it's like for this kind of lifestyle. It's a good movie. Some really cool editing tricks in there, here and there, that I liked as well. But yeah, I liked it.
Papples?
Pap.
Pappy peeing?
Oh, dear.
I've been on mute for a while. Sorry about that. I've been like talking and saying shit and getting frustrated that you guys aren't listening to me. My bad. This is Pappy from Louisville, Colorado. Off mute now. Yeah, I love everything that the Coens do, basically. This one, it's interesting, Matt, that you mentioned that you watch this so many times in short succession. I kind of think about this like, you go to an art museum, right? And you see a painting that might not be one that you'd hang in your living room, but you can say that it's really beautiful, and it's like it like fits well together and makes sense like artistically. Like it might be like a scary painting of like Sisyphus getting his liver eaten by a bird or whatever Greek mythology we were talking about earlier, Prometheus being his liver eaten by a bird. But I kind of feel the same way about Llewyn Davis. It's not one that I could watch every day. I think it is kind of depressing. I do think Llewyn's a big asshole, but I think it's perfectly told. And it's the kind of movie that you can only make when you're in a position of power in Hollywood, right? Like Inside Llewyn Davis could never be someone's first movie in Hollywood because it's not going to make a ton of money. It's really probably not going to win Best Picture. And it's a very specific type of painting that they're painting. But, man, I fucking love movies about the music industry. I love the music in this. Fare Thee Well is like a banger to me. I listen to it all the time. Not as good as Hey Mr. Kennedy or Please Mr. Kennedy or whatever, but funny in the right places. I like it. Hard yes for me.
So you don't see a lot of money in this?
I don't see any money in this. Unless maybe a trio. Sell it in a trio of movies with 2 girls and a guy or whatever he says. But no.
Josh from Goshen, I do feel like this is basically that scene where he plays the guitar and it's like a beautiful song and this old white dude is like, not a lot of money in it, is kind of the just quintessential thing that artists face as a whole. It's kind of absurdist. Like, it comes down to like one dude's opinion judging all of your talents and brain abilities put together. I think it's also, this movie is like one of those where I feel like, you know, the whole thing with the cat and the symbolism that maybe I didn't pick up on everything in the first viewing, but it's Coen Brothers movie, and like in A Serious Man, kind of the point is nothing means anything. And I don't know if there is much of like a rabbit hole to go down, or if, I don't know. Sometimes you can get kind of like, it's not worth it to go down that rabbit hole. I don't know for this one if it is yet or not. Ultimately, I'm glad there was no wood chipper scene in this Coen Brothers movie. I was kind of like expecting it, and I thought there was going to be some like outburst of violence at some point. But the most painful thing we really get is that like wet sock in the winter snow in Chicago. And if you've ever been in Chicago in the winter, man, it is freezing and miserable. So I feel that. This is a big yes for me. Thanks for picking this movie, Matt. I always like to pick up another Coen Brothers movie. First time watcher.
Mikey from Goshen. Yeah, a wet sock is a 0 out of 10 experience.
It's violent.
This was my first time watching this movie as well. I think in my Letterboxd review, I said I had seen the trailer and I didn't like it a lot. And I watched it again today, that trailer, and I still did not like how they marketed the movie, because it made it seem kind of like a hipster, kind of like rom-com-y sort of situation. And I just didn't want to see that at the time. And it's just totally not like that at all. All of the jokes are edited out of the trailer, so you have no idea about the type of sense of humor that this movie has. And it's just really dark and really funny, and I liked it a lot. I thought the music was great too, and even when it was just weird, twangy folk songs, I was like laughing a lot at like just how good the musicianship was, but like the lack of personality behind some of those songs, that just the bland people were singing. And then all of Llewyn's music was just amazing. He has such great songs, and it was a great soundtrack. I like this movie a lot. I think I just don't like how the Coens market their movies, because I always end up catching them like 10 years later and liking them a lot. So I'll give it a hard yes.
All right. Yeah, I'll give this a soft yes. I don't love the Coen Brothers like as much as everyone else. I think everything they do is like drab, and you know, it's okay to make happy movies every once in a while. I was telling Pappy, I probably only truly love one Coen Brothers movie I've seen. That's Big Lebowski. The rest of them are all just been varying degrees of okay to good. I mean, Oh Brother, We're Out There is good. That's actually a fun one with a mildly happy ending. So, soundtrack was awesome. Acting was good. It's just, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it was middle of the road Coen for me, but you know, still enjoy it. I probably never watch it again, but I will probably listen to the soundtrack pretty soon. Fare thee well.
Thank you, Brett. That's very uplifting for the end one. Much like this movie. So, we're going to do some trivia. This is closest to. And winner gets to take us out and also tell the people what we have coming down the pipeline. Sound good?
A win and a burden. With great power comes great responsibility.
Great responsibility. So, Llewyn Davis signed away all of his royalties that he would have gotten from Please Mr. Kennedy. Maybe it would have been a ton. Who knows? But since Bob Dylan was at the end of this movie, and he's highly influential, I think, on the folk music scene to begin with, I'm asking you guys closest to, how much in royalties does Bob Dylan get a year from his music?
Crap.
Okay.
And here's the order. It's going to go Josh, Mikey, Brett, Pappy, Corey. This is in U.S. doll hairs.
To the nearest what?
Doll hair.
Doll hair.
Yeah, but like 10 or 1,000 or just...
If you're closest, you're closest.
I was just trying to get some sort of hint out of you, Stevie.
Nope.
To the nearest 10 million.
I'll guess he gets 20 million.
20 million for George. Mikey.
I'll say 10. 10 million.
10 millions. Brett.
I always say way too high, so I'll go low. I got a number in my brain. I'll say 3.4 million.
3.4 mils. Pappy.
Okay, bear with me here. I'm going to bet on the fact that he sold the rights to his catalog. So I'm going to say Bob Dylan makes $0 a year.
Zero doll hairs.
He sold the rights. Maybe, hopefully.
Why would he do that?
He's old. Cash out.
Corey.
3 million.
3 millions. Oh my God, boys. You are in for such a treat.
Let's go.
So the official retail number, Josh is going to be so angry. The official retail number is $15 million a year. So we have a tie, boys.
Oh, wow.
5 mil in each direction.
Overtime.
If you would have given us a nearest...
I'm looking at an article from the New York Times that said he sold his catalog in December, but you get zero.
This article is from February, Pap. Says 15 mils.
I know. I'm slinking off to the shadows of the losers.
It's probably like 15 point something.
Anyway, who's ready for some subjective trivia?
Oh
no.
What a special episode we have. So we're gonna go Josh, then Mikey. Give me your best Bob Dylan impression.
Times they are changing.
Is that it?
Do vision.
I mean, Mikey, you can sneeze and probably win. Josh, is that it?
Got a baseline laid down. Let's go.
It's for the Patreon.
That
Josh,
sounded
come
like
on.
a Catholic priest singing Bob Dylan. The times they are a changing.
Times they are a changing.
The times they are a changing.
There we go.
That's a winner.
Was that Mikey?
Yeah.
It was Bob.
That is good.
Is Bob on the phone?
Josh, you even want to try it, or are you too proud to even give it a shot?
Used to be known for my Bob Dylan in college, but I think I lost it.
You have to pretend that you're taking a poop.
What? I'm not gonna. That all comes full circle for Mikey. Gotta let him have it.
Mikey, you are the winner. Before I let you take us out, Brett, I need to hear your Dylan.
Oh no, no, it's two.
Come on,
I can't.
Come on, Brett.
Give us the velvety pipes.
There's a choice we make it. We're saving that. That's it. That's all I got. That was from We Are the World. So mid-80s Bob.
I like that. Well, Mikey, please take us out.
It was Matt, right? Matt chose us?
Yes.
Thanks again, Matt, for your Patreon pick. Recommend us to your friends and family. Let's get us those views. Let's pump those numbers up. Thanks again for the movie pick. I liked it a lot. I think a lot of us here liked it a lot. And take it away, spoiler man.
reading me loud and clear? Oh, please, Mr. Kennedy. I don't wanna go. Don't show out of.
Special thank you to our patrons: Matt Troll,
I'm certainly not a man of comforts.
Brother Brian,
Make yourself at home.
Druid King.
I don't know, because I'm a communist.
Shockmanite?
What?
No, ain't that.
Nick.
Oh, God damn it. I am one lucky bastard.
If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast.
Countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, oh no!
That was Spoilers.